Hi, it is Makeover May, and I am Tasha Cleaveland. And today is the sofa series. It's all about room renderings with sofas and sectionals. And why? Why? Because sofas and sectionals are our #1 request for placing artwork. We call them the top four, and the top four walls that people ask for artwork to be sized for: sofa wall, above the bed, above the fireplace, and above an entryway. Those would be our top four. So over a console table, something like that. Those are the top walls that people ask for help when they're trying to select artwork. And so rather than doing a bunch of separate sofas videos for you, I decided to bundle them all into today so that you would have all the juicy tidbits of all the different nuances of sizing art for over a sofa or sectional. So let's jump in to the next video for today. This is Laura's room. And Laura has just finished a remodel. So let me show you the other angle of her room today. And yes, there, just so that you know what we're doing in case you jump on late. Okay, let me show you the other angle of her room. This is the other view. Now, oh wait, do I have something randomly sitting? Yes, I do. Oops, random layer. Okay, this is the other view of her room. Now, instead of putting the TV on the wall, which is what these holes on the wall are for, they decided to have the TV hovering in the middle of the room. Why? Because the view outside of these windows is phenomenal. They have one of the best views in town. It is the full skyline of Ventura with the ocean and the islands, and they wanted to be able to look at both. So I don't blame them, but we do have a wall to deal with now. So as we're looking at this space, it feels really empty, and that's just because she's not done yet. She's, you can see construction materials over here in the corner, and she isn't finished. Even though her style is very modern, is a very clean look, and she won't likely add a ton more into the space, I do think we want to round out this space just a tiny bit with that good old fiddle leaf fig. Makes life easy. Oh, and there's our extra layer. And she probably at some point would add in some side tables because you need a place to set your drink and probably a coffee table. And that will round out her space really well. So I would say once she has these pieces in place, it won't feel quite as empty. She probably needs some lighting too. I see some ceiling lights, but she might want a lamp here or a lamp here in between that chair. So there's a side table between that chair and the sofa. So as we're looking at a more finished view of her room, I would say with that wall, you can see she has taller than average ceiling heights. And the way that you can tell is it's a little bit of a low back. You can see that there's arm goes up pretty high compared to the back, but it's not like super low. So even if it were a tall or average back sofa, it'd be about this high. That's definitely not an 8-foot ceiling height. That's more like a 9-foot, maybe 10-foot. So just like we talked about in the last video, if you're working with taller than average ceilings, you probably want to play with a 40 by 80. That's your winning number. So start playing with painter's tape on your wall in a 40 by 80 and take a look at it. Let's look and see what that looks like for her. Oh, so this is the difference. So this is a 30 by 90. And do you see how it's not tall enough at all in her space? It's just not going to work. Even if I were to get it to be the right width, we still don't have enough height. So even if I got the width comfortable, the height isn't going to cut it. It's just going to feel a little bit awkward. So I do recommend always playing with the shape of the wall left over above the furniture. I'll say that again. Play with the shape of the wall that is left over after you have your furniture in place. After all of your elements are there, if you have wainscoting or like a chair rail, we're working above the chair rail. What's the shape of the wall above that chair rail is usually a 3-to-1 ratio. But the shape of the wall above a sofa is usually a 2-to-1 ratio, sometimes a 3-to-1 if it's really long. So look at the shape that you have. You can see that this rectangle is really kind of like a 1x2. That gives you an indication of where you should start playing with that painter's tape. So even though I like that image there, and this, I prefer it in a 2:1. So let's just take a look at it there. I resized something, so it got a little too big. That is it in the other shape. So you can see that actually our images are available in often all 3 ratios. So it just depends on the image, but a lot of times we can crop the same image into 3 different shapes. So it will work in every room scenario. Some of these images are lovely little chameleons like that. Some of them are not. Some of them will only work in maybe 1 or 2, but in this case, it will crop in a lovely way into the 2:1 ratio. And as much as I like the taupey gray color, I think the pink is a bit too much for this space. So let's take a look at Foamy Flute. Now, or not Foamy Flute, Striaces. Striaces looks really lovely in her space. And the reason I like it here is because she definitely has a very modern minimalist feeling in her space. And so when you're working with a modern minimalist feeling, you don't want to add a lot of busyness to it. You just want to keep that like streamlined, empty feeling, even though you're filling it with something. You just wanted to keep that consistent. So I do love Striaces in your space, Laura. And if you wanted to keep it in a monotone, monochromatic look, then Wooden Pier is a perfect pairing. One thing that I do really like about it is if from this view, as I'm looking at this wall, you get to see your beautiful stairs in the background, which have those same kind of lines and bars, and that looks really cool in comparison to each other. So I love this classic Wooden Pier. Knowing that you are a Ventura County girl, Wooden Pier is a great compliment to your space, especially since you can probably see it right out those big, beautiful windows. So that makes it really kind of cool, brings it inside. Now, the last image that I want to take a look at in your space is Follow the Leader. And the reason I love this is because it's maintaining that simplicity that we were looking at with Striaces. Where are you hiding? Striae, right there. Okay, so you can see Striaces has that beautiful simplicity in the blue taupe white gray palette. And I love it. It's probably one of my top picks, but there's just something magical about Follow the Leader in your space. It adds this sort of subtle excitement. It's like this slow crawl that these horses are trotting through this water. And I don't know, it just kind of pulls you in a very classy way. It has the soft blues, the grays, and adds a tiny hint of some warmth as well. So my sort of offbeat recommendation is Follow the Leader. Just kind of love it here. And that might be my personal preference. And if you're not a horse girl, that's cool. I would go with Striaces for the win. Thank you so much for following along. I hope that that was helpful. If you are looking to place art over a sectional and you also have the same scenario to deal with, and I will be back one more time today with one more sectional view. In this one, we will be talking about centering the art on the wall, not on the sofa. What? Yeah, be back with that in a minute.